Yeah, Bear's in the way, but that's okay. Hey guys, it's Allie and Gary from Roll With Us DMs. Bear has decided to join us in talking about D&D 2024 Player's Handbook today. He is insisting upon being on camera, so we'll see how that goes. Um, but you know, cats.
So, talking about this today.
Yes. This is the alternate cover for the D&D 2024 Player's Handbook. So we have many copies of the Player's Handbook from 2014, and we accumulated them through friends playing at the table and everyone kind of wanting their own copy. So we currently have 3 copies sitting at our house of the Player's Handbook, and we are currently able.
3.
Can I have one of them to reference while we sit? Thank you.
Really, just to show how crazy we
Hold on.
are.
Let me take my sticky note off of this one because apparently I was marking
Just
tabs.
show how crazy we are. Plus, yeah, plus the new one.
Yeah, and you can see kind of our cabinet behind us broke from the weight of all of our books. So when we update our studio and kind of change things around, we will be having some stronger shelves for our books.
Bear knew exactly where to lay so that he was not blocking the camera.
Bear's a good boy.
He is.
It's where he lays when we play games. So when we took him off this evening, he was displeased and displaced.
Yeah. We have our stack of books here on the table.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna look at the YouTube chat in case.
Oh yeah, I had Restream up too.
In case we get anybody. Turn down my volume.
No new comments yet.
I'm the only one watching. Oh, you know where I didn't push it out was Discord. I should do that.
Yeah, so I would like to actually kind of just open this book. Oh, and just on the first couple of pages, the thing that very much upset me when we first got this book was that they didn't have a disclaimer. That was the first thing I looked for when I opened the book. Every book that I'm aware of, up till every book that we own at the very least, up till this point, has a disclaimer. For the Player's Handbook, disclaimer. Wizards of the Coast is not responsible for the consequences of splitting up the party, sticking appendages into the mouth of leering green devilface, accepting a dinner invitation from bugbears, storming the feast hall of a hill giant steading, angering a dragon of any variety, or saying yes when the DM asks, "Are you really sure?"
Yeah, and it's been a running thing in every single book
Yeah.
in 5th edition up until this new Player's Handbook. And no disclaimer, so yeah.
No disclaimer. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed it, but
I've read this thing like 3 times and I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
If anybody has found the disclaimer, let us know.
Yeah. Let's see.
Monster Manual.
Yeah, this is the Monster Manual disclaimer. Any similarities between monsters depicted in this book and monsters that actually exist are purely coincidental. That goes double for mind flayers, which absolutely, utterly, and completely do not exist. Nor do they secretly run the D&D team. Do we really need a disclaimer to tell you that? You shouldn't you shouldn't use your brain to consider such irrational thoughts. They only make the mind cluttered, confused, and unpleasantly chewy. A good brain is nice, tender, and barely used. Go ahead and put down this book and watch some reality TV or internet cat shows. They're really funny these days. You won't regret it. We say this only because we love you and your juicy, succulent gamer brain.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Is it a necessary thing for them to put into the books? Obviously not. But, it's something that I weirdly look forward to every time we get a new book in.
Yeah, well, I think, is it Spelljammer is our most recent physical books? Or,
Probably. Yeah, we didn't buy them in order. We bought Spelljammer because I was running a campaign in Spelljammer this year.
Yeah, Wild Beyond the Witchlight is not. I think Spelljammer is our most recent physical book. Currently, we've been purchasing more of them straight to Roll20 since that's where we do a majority of our gaming. But and
honestly, we've been very lucky because we've had a bunch of people buy us books.
Yes,
through Roll20.
My parents. So thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad.
Yep. And we've had some of our players buy us. Dave bought us a bunch. Jasmine and Tier bought us a bunch. Kate and Steve. This is for Ravnica. Disclaimer: the Living Guild Pack is not responsible for the fate of those who are arrested by the Azorius, beaten by the Boros, dodged by the Dimir, grossed out by the Golgari, gored by the Gruul, imploded by the Izzet, outwitted by the Orzhov, rousted by the Rakdos, subsumed by the Selesnya, or sickened by the Simic. Join or leave a guild at your own risk and get caught up in guild politics at your peril.
Yeah, even setting specific, it still has a just a fun little nod.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, even the most recent 5th edition books, with the exception of this one, which I hope is not a new trend, have disclaimers.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was just a little disappointing thing. Again,
yeah.
It was the first thing I looked for.
I was going to say that. As soon as I handed you this book, that was the first thing you did was flip to the table of contents to look for it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Again, not really necessary, but just it was disappointing that it wasn't there. But speaking of the table of contents, the first thing they kind of talk about is what you need and using this book. And Worlds of Adventure. They spell out all the different types of dice. So if you've never rolled polyhedral dice before, they really go into detail about the different kinds of dice.
So I know I did a video a couple months ago, just what were my takes on what I had been hearing about this book, and did I think that Wizards of the Coast went far enough? I think if they had wanted to put out a brand new edition, they could have. I think there were some opportunities to fix some things that were left the same. However, upon having this book in my hands and reading it, I think they did a good job revising what was already a pretty solid system in 5th edition. And after building my first character using the new rules, I am highly excited to play said character, which, oddly enough, is the most basic of basic characters that you could conceive of in a human champion fighter. But the changes that they made to uh, just the versatility and flexibility of the characters, be it from the origin feats, the more expansive backgrounds, um, the changes to the fighter class in general, where you get more mobility out of things like using your second wind or more options for using your second wind. Um, that makes the fighter plus the weapon masteries makes them feel more like that tactical battlefield combatant, combined with the way that they reworked the champion, giving them things that would not have mattered in the 2014 rules, like advantage on initiative, the ability to give themselves heroic inspiration that did not exist prior. It just seems like it's going to be a really fun class to play, despite being branded previously as the simplest character. If you wanted to just give somebody new, here's a character sheet, play this fighter. But I think that playing this version of the champion fighter is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, Matt said that he loves your hair.
Yeah, just really quick, I actually I wasn't really expecting to talk about this, but like, so during the whole COVID nonsense thing, I got COVID, super duper high fever. And nobody ever knows this, and I find it very interesting. If you get a very high fever, you can, like a couple months later, like 2 to 3 months later, you can lose a bunch of hair. So I lost probably about a third of my hair when a couple months after I had COVID. And I really freaked out because like my hairbrush was full all the time. So it was like super duper nerve wracking. So anyway, I figured out what was going on. And my hair, I was lucky, my hair grew back. So this is the first haircut that I've had where I could cut out all of the dead ends that have been growing for the past couple of years. And I was so excited to finally like have normal hair back again, that I didn't want normal hair back again. And I dyed it. Well, I didn't dye it. I had it dyed.
Yeah, that's pretty.
But I'm very excited. So anyway, yeah, if you get a super duper high fever, and you start losing random hair, you should probably have stuff looked into. I'm totally not a doctor, but don't go like overboard. Just take a step back, and you might just be what's quote unquote called shedding. So anyway, that was my story, and I feel like more people need to randomly know about this. But right in the beginning, sorry, back to D&D. So right in the beginning of this,
Hi, Jim. He's driving, so I didn't want to type to him.
Oh no, but hey Jim.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Listening.
So right, chapter 1, like it's not. Ooh, our cats are cranky. Right in the beginning, they kind of talk about how gameplay happens with actual narrative, and it's kind of cool. So this says, Jared as Dungeon Master, after your long journey, Castle Ravenloft towers before you. Crumbling towers of stone, perhaps abandoned guardhouses, loom over the approach. Beyond them, you see a gaping chasm. He kind of goes on to describe the scene. But then it goes into like, Philip as Gareth. I examine the gargoyles. I have a feeling they're not just statues. Maeve as Mirabelle. I want to see how sturdy the drawbridge is. Do I think we can cross it, or is it going to collapse under our weight? And then the dungeon master goes back to say, all right, one at a time. Philip, Gareth's looking at the gargoyles. Yes, is there any hint they might be creatures and not just decorations? Make an intelligence check. Does my investigation skill apply? Sure. Philip, rolling a d20. Oh, 7. They look like decorations to you. And Maeve, Mirabelle is examining the drawbridge, ? So it really kind of, I feel like it gives new DMs a very good, like, okay, guys, like, one at a time, like, okay, you want to inspect the gargoyles. Um, it gives a really nice, like, way to not get overwhelmed with all of your players wanting to do everything at once. And I feel like as a brand new DM, that's something that's so easy to get overwhelmed by. And that's in the first page of this book.
Well, yeah, I have to say that like when I first started reading the book, the fact that instead of getting weeded with rules and character creation and all of that, the fact that it gives you like a good feel of what playing Dungeons and Dragons is like
Mm-hmm.
is a really good way to start the book and present the game right up front.
Yeah. Um, and it's not a dungeon master's guide, so it's not necessarily geared toward just the DM, but I feel like setting this precedent right in the beginning of the book is also really nice for players to hear. That like, oh yeah, okay, one thing at a time. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's a really good place to start.
Yeah, and then the next section is about player or DM, an example of being a player, an example of being the dungeon master. So, like for being a player, you make a character, you team up, you venture forth. Being the dungeon master, you build adventures, you guide the story, you adjudicate the rules. Um, you oversee how the group uses the game's rules, making sure that the rules serve the group's fun. You want to read the rest of this chapter to understand those rules, and you'll find the rules glossary essential. Um, One thing I'm wondering, and I'm pretty sure it should be in here somewhere, is just saying that, like, the DM is the ultimate arbiter of the rules.
Um,
I did want to back up quick because right, I was just gonna say that so like the credits given also as always to original game created by Gary Gygax and Dan Arneson and
mhm.
based on the 2014 design. Also on this page here, before we get to chapter one, is what's new in the 2024 version. Um, Streamlined rules, easier character creation, enhanced classes, reimagined origins, expanded feats, upgraded weapons, tools, and crafting, dazzling spells. Um, One issue that I did have with this book is I felt like as an updated version of this book, I feel like this new book should have referenced the old book more and told you how to integrate the old information where pertinent. And there's like three blurbs that I could find. There might be more, but I've only found three. Um,
I want to disagree with you.
okay.
And I don't want to I don't want to read this book and this book tell me to go to another book and see page 74.
Okay. I still think that there could have been like a blurb in the class section that said if you're using an old subclass, this is how you integrate it in these classes. It doesn't need to like necessarily reference everything because the goal I know is to have this book replace this book entirely. So that's fine for like the base rules, and there are a lot of good changes in here, like drinking a potion being a bonus action, um,
Yes.
the heroic inspiration, the way surprise works, that if you're surprised you have disadvantage on initiative,
Yeah, I
um,
really like that.
the way that exhaustion works, where you get a speed reduction of 5 feet per level of exhaustion, and you take a penalty to your d20 rolls equal to twice your exhaustion level. So there's a lot of really good rules that are better in here than in the original book, but I think trying to think who that is. I know I've. Oh, is that Zanny? I don't know. I've
No.
seen.
I think
Okay.
it's Kyle.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Hey
Guys, I'm
God,
really
if
sorry. We're
yeah.
trying to learn all the handles.
But there is a blurb about like backgrounds and old character races.
I love that the backgrounds give you the bonuses now. Your 3 bonuses instead of your race. Love. I know we might differ on opinion on that.
Um, yeah. So just to finish up with the blurb thing, though, there's that blurb, there's this blurb, and there's like one more blurb somewhere else. But like, there's other guidance that I wish that this book said, and mostly when it comes to uh, if you want to use old subclasses with these like class chassis. What if you want to play the artificer? I guess the artificer just stays the same. What if you want to multi-class into Artificer because Artificer doesn't exist in this book? Um, you know, there's just a little bit more guidance that I wish was here. If you want to talk about the backgrounds and stuff, we could jump to that, or do you want to just keep
No,
going through the book?
let's keep going through the book.
Okay, cool. Uh,
Oh, so on you were talking about you wish that like it would say um exceptions supersede general rules.
yeah.
It's literally on the next page. That's pretty much just like um this is more specifically about like there's a general rule of how much you can lift, but your class or your feature may let you do twice as much or something like that.
Yeah, so a lot of the games that we play, like Dungeons and Dragons, like Pathfinder, like DC 20, are exception based systems where the rules tell you the way that things work, and unless something very specifically subclass, class, racial, whatever, overrides the core rules, you would assume that the core rules are the correct ones.
Right. And it says right here the DM narrates the results of the adventurer's actions. And I think that kind of goes into you wanting to them to say like DM has like final ruling and stuff like that.
This is one of my favorite things, interpreting die rolls in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the fun of D&D is interpreting what the dice rolls mean in the story. Um, you know, depending on how high or low somebody rolls when they're trying to do a thing, is one of my favorite things as a DM. Then, like being able to figure out what that looks like in the world in that moment of what they're trying to do. You have become a bear.
I have. That's okay. I can just move closer to you.
Of course, there's the core rule for rounding in D&D, which is always round down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That seems to be the norm. DC 20 going the other direction as always round up.
Yeah, it kind of goes into, the 6 abilities, ability scores, and what they mean. Ability scores is nice because they have like score of 1. This is the lowest a score can normally go. If an effect reduces a score to 0, that effect explains what happens. Normally you die. 2 to 9, a weak capability. 10 to 11, this represents a human average. 12 to 19, this represents a strong capability. 20, this is the highest an adventurer's score can go unless a feature says otherwise. 21 to 29 is extraordinary capability, and 30, this is the highest a score can go.
Now, remember I was telling you earlier today, I think, about D20 tests?
Yeah.
And D20 tests come in 3 kinds: ability checks, saving throws, and attack rolls. So exhaustion affects all of your D20 tests, and attack rolls are just one of those tests.
Yeah, and I love that they've changed exhaustion, because I run my games so that if you go down, you get a level of exhaustion.
I also think the artwork in the book is phenomenal.
Okay.
And this is actually like representing a successful medicine check, failing and falling into a pit of spikes. And I don't know what he's doing. He's cutting a gelatinous cube. That's
Ah,
what that is.
okay. It tells you what the ability checks are for. Strength is lift, push, pull. Um, different things like that. But I feel like it explains a lot more in this book.
I would also say that, like, in comparison to the Pathfinder core rule book, I haven't really looked too much at player core, but
Okay.
um, the rules are very streamlined and it's not a lot to read. I mean, the rules on like proficiency bonus is a small paragraph.
Hmm.
The rules for difficulty class DC, which is largely what you're rolling against,
Right.
is a tiny blurb. Like the fifth edition rules, and it's probably it is by no means a rules light system like Monster of the Week or something, but
Hmm.
it is a very easy to understand game.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like a new player could pick up this book and easily be able to jump into the game.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
so here's a question for you, Allie.
yeah.
So I'm looking at heroic inspiration. We've kind of been using it as it is anyway,
Right.
taking it from Pathfinder second edition with hero points and allowing the reroll with using your inspiration, which,
Hmm.
prior to this book, Adventures League people would tell me this is inspiration. It is not a reroll. It is for advantage. When you want advantage, you turn in your chip and you have advantage. But now inspiration is actually heroic inspiration, and it works like hero points where you can re-roll. My character is human and has the ability to gain heroic inspiration whenever they finish a long rest. We have been starting every session giving people heroic inspiration. Heroic inspiration, you can only have one at a time. How does that work for me as a human? Are we all going to start with heroic inspiration? And then if I spend mine before a long rest, when we get a long rest, I would regain my heroic inspiration,
Right. Hmm.
and everybody else would just have that one per session.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Um, Alfred Miller has joined us. Sorry I'm late. Just say what's up.
Oh, hello. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We're talking 2024 D&D Player's Handbook. Just a quick review, maybe less quick, as we're just going over our thoughts.
Yeah, I mean they go over kind of what weapons are versus what tools are. They go over all of the actions, which is really nice because I actually made a um just a sheet of paper that kind of spells out each person's actions for new players sitting at a table. And I wanted them to kind of have that ability to just kind of quick reference between turns to kind of figure out what they want to do.
So, one big difference that I noticed right away between the new book and the old book
Hmm.
is in the beginning of the old book, there are literally 4 pages that talk about the game, where this is going. I don't know, we're up to 15 already,
Yeah.
talking about the actual like playing of the game. And then in the old book, like all the stuff that it's going over right now doesn't start until page 173. So if you were a new person, a new player trying to learn fifth edition, before the first half of the book is all character creation,
Hmm.
and that's before you get to the actual game rules. You know, now that I'm looking at the game rules themselves, like this starts like spellcasting.
Hmm.
So like, and this is why I think people say that like fifth edition is a pretty simple game. This right here
Here's the
is the
rules.
rules for playing the game. It's literally like a handful of pages. But
Um, I do like all these little pink not addendums, but blurbs in the book that they kind of highlight.
mhm.
Um, this one is called "What Would Your Character Do?" And I love that. I run very role play heavy games, and I ask this often of my players whenever they're trying to kind of figure out either where they want to go next or um, where they want to go next, what they want to do, how they want to interact with someone. And I just kind of slow down for a minute and I'm like, cool, all right, what would your character do? Your character is a barbarian. Your character is a wizard. And you have the mannerisms that you've played them with. What would your character do? Not what would you do in the given situation, because I can tell you right now that if I saw a huge owlbear running at me, my first instinct would not be to pull my bow and shoot it. It would be, how can I get out of this situation? So I don't know. I really like the little touches that they have here for inspiration for players.
So I think another thing that does make fifth edition stand out as a player-friendly system as far as like teaching and learning is there's literally the actions that you can take are what, a third of the page.
Yeah.
It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 actions. Attack, dash, disengage, dodge, help, hide, influence, magic, ready, search, study, utilize. And most of them are very basic, very easy to understand. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I could actually just show that just to, you can see,
There you go.
wait, it's over here. That little table.
Yep. And I
This
was
is
talking
good.
about like the role play examples before with like them looking at the gargoyles and stuff like that. This kind of goes into social interactions, and they give an example, and they give a really good breakdown of active role playing versus descriptive role playing versus ability checks. And I've definitely had all three of these types of people at my tables. I have the active role playing where they want to have the full conversations with the NPCs and really kind of talk things out with them. I've also had the descriptive role playing of I explained that everything about this adventure that we've just been on and how, we're really down on our luck and all of this stuff happened. And, I'm trying to convince them of how hard off we are. And I'm hoping that we can get a few healing potions for the cheap or whatever. And then you roll a die, and based on their description and what they're trying to do is how high that skill check is. And then there's the people that do not like the descriptions. They aren't good with it. They don't want to say all of those words at a table. And they just go, I'd really like to haggle with them. And, can I just roll the dice? Absolutely.
So back to the book. I like that, it's giving you an example, a real time example of like what would be said during a game by each member of the party and the DM. But then there's a bullet point number 1 that then references on the other side of the page with like ability check and what the ability check is like.
Yeah.
And then as you continue on, there's like bullet point number 2, influencing NPCs. And so there's an example of a player trying to do that, and then a bullet point telling you the mechanics of what that looks like. Then the book goes into more things: exploration, vision, light, obscured areas, hiding. I'm just going to keep flipping for now.
Yeah, go for it.
And then there's another example of like actual gameplay of people exploring, and there's a bullet point number 3, worth rolling with or without proficiency. And then a whole bunch of bullet points here: 4, 5, 6, and 7. Again, you have like actual gameplay, and then with bullet points breaking out mechanically how that works at the table. So I think this book does a great job explaining and showing what actual gameplay looks like.
Right.
And for somebody who's brand new, I think this would be invaluable.
Yeah. I see we have a bunch of people watching, so if you haven't commented yet, comment, say hey. We love people watching us and whatnot. And if you have any questions, or you want us to look up anything specific or compare anything specific from 2014 to 2024, please just throw it in chat. We'd love to do it.
So one interesting thing with 5th edition that I hadn't realized for a long time is that the initiative order is set. Once you roll it, technically you're not supposed to delay your spot in the initiative. It's supposed to be where it is.
I've never run like that.
And I haven't really either, because like coming from 4th edition where you could delay your initiative, that's what I've always assumed it was. I know Pathfinder does it that way, that you can delay your turn, and so does DC-20. So it's kind of foreign to me that you can't. I guess they want you to just ready something or dodge. And I don't know. I think you lose a little bit of tactics when you can't change your spot in the initiative. So I
agree.
I definitely house rule that you can change your spot.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I want to be able to wait for you to run up to me so that I can then use my help action to pull you up on the horse.
Though that does change your spot in the initiative if you do delay your turn. You will.
That's
now
what I've
be
right, and
at
that's
a
how I've
lower
always
spot.
ruled it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I guess I could technically hold the help action to help you up, but then I don't get a move. I don't get a bonus action. I don't get to ride away. I don't get anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. I think delaying is important.
So I am getting a little bit ahead of myself, but there's another thing that I think we've done wrong before, but like you've never really known the right ruling for it, and that's if you're concentrating on a spell because you took the ready action to ready a spell.
Right.
You, by the rules, can only hold that spell until the start of your next turn. If you don't cast it, I don't know what happens. I always say you could keep concentrating on it, but according to the rules, I mean, when we get to it, we could take a look at it, but yeah.
Yeah, I would let someone concentrate on a spell as long as they could concentrate on the spell.
Yeah, same.
Like, you can't take a short rest while you're concentrating on a spell, like, to release it. But, ooh, you disagree with that. All right.
I mean, if you're not, I don't know, because if you want to actually rest, but then you wouldn't really be concentrating. Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, if you want to sit there and concentrate on a spell while other people take a long rest, or a short rest,
you're not benefiting from the rest. Then, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of go over the creature size and how many spaces it is. Like, tiny can take up 4 spaces, up to 2.5 feet. Typically, what I say for tiny is a cat-sized. That's always what I've used for tiny.
Bear doesn't look so tiny on the camera, though.
No, he looks bigger than us. Small. Oh, it doesn't actually tell you, like, it tells you space by feet, but it doesn't tell you, like, height and stuff. That's interesting.
Hmm.
Okay.
Uh,
Talking about cover, unseen attackers and targets. They talk about resting. They talk about underwater combat. I don't think any of that's changed.
no, I
Um,
don't think so.
Knocking out creatures, they have very specific things. And I have to say, um, 0 hit points, unconscious condition. Okay, so it says it starts at a short rest. You need an hour. Um, but I don't know. I always ruled it that it was a D 4 hours that people were knocked out for.
Yeah, no, I think in the old book that's what it was. Do you want me to check?
Um, you can check while I keep moving on.
The conditions and the fact, like, that's
Yep.
just the fifth edition thing. That there's not a lot of conditions,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Um,
Um,
but yeah, they go through all the conditions, and while they're going through the conditions, they kind of talk through like combat and getting conditions and rolling initiative and attack rolls, and they kind of talk through all of that, which is cool. And then they get into creating a character. Oh, I think
Yeah.
this is the first book that they officially talk about a session 0.
yeah. Well, no, I mean it's the first player's handbook, but I think it was Tasha's talks about session 0.
Okay.
Mhm. So here it is. It's stabilizing a creature. Um, a stable creature doesn't make death saving throws, even though it has 0 hit points, but it does remain unconscious. The creature stops being stable and must start making death saving throws again if it takes any damage. A stable creature that isn't healed regains 1 hit point after 1d4 hours.
Yeah, 1d4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they changed it to
they-
just 1 hour.
Yep, they changed it to a short rest.
Simplifies it.
It does. So me personally, I think that session 0s are super duper important. I like to go over my house rules, which has been a bonus action for taking a potion.
Mm-hmm.
If you're flanking someone, I do it as a +2 instead of advantage, because I always felt that giving someone advantage for flanking took away from things like rogues or certain racial classes used to be able to get advantage. And I hated the fact that everyone could just have advantage if you were flanking. So we did the +2.
And I think that having a bonus for flanking is good.
Mm-hmm.
Good for the game, good for strategy.
Yeah.
Just advantage was too strong.
Mm-hmm.
And most games use a +2, or in the case of Pathfinder, a -2 to the target's armor class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say that it also doesn't start the flank trains, but that's a lie. It absolutely does. Although some systems say that if you are flanked, you can't flank others, which I do like.
Hmm.
So and it's kind of funny that in this book, they don't start with race. Or, I'm sorry, what is it now? Ancestry? Species, right. Ancestry is Pathfinder.
And DC 20, yeah.
Okay.
I think they need it to be different. I'm not sure.
Step
Ancestry
1.
is a fine term.
Yeah. Yep. Step 1, choose a class.
Mm-hmm.
Which I hate. Because I am 0 years old. I has no class. What am I? Like, I want to start with a race, and then I want to grab a background, and then I want to grab a class.
And see, I usually pick a class, and then I try to find not necessarily even the best race, species, ancestry for that class, but something that would be interesting. Like, and I usually try to go for like the off the wall ancestries, like in Pathfinder,
Plasmoid.
yeah, Plasmoid, or like Harengon, something different. Lizard folk, Tricrine, and then in like Pathfinder, I usually go for like kobolds, goblins,
I'm about to play
Tengu,
a monkey person, Venera.
Venera, yeah. But um, if I don't just go for like the odd races that I don't normally like, I don't usually pick human because I mean I am so like want to play something different. But in this case, I don't know. I just went with the most basic of basic for my character that I currently am building or
Awesome.
have built.
So, Gary, tell me all about this new character sheet.
Oh, I hate it.
Why?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
I did watch a video of somebody going over it and they were gushing over it and how awesome it was.
Okay.
I guess I'm just used to the old one where it was like all of the ability scores down in one line, all of your
Mm-hmm.
skills in one place.
Yep.
On another hand, I do like the one thing that he pointed out, which is the skills that go with the stats are right there with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So, if you're trying to do something strength wise, you just look under strength and you find the thing that you want.
yeah. So maybe I was a little hard on this sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a little.
No.
But
So honestly, I embrace change far more than you do.
yeah.
I embrace change far more than most people do.
Uh,
But I do like the old sheets. And my problem with any paper sheet is that I typically print off a bunch of stuff for my characters. And I'm really hoping that I'm grabbing. Nope, I'm not. Do you know where my DC 20?
I mean, it's a blank one. That's what I was
No.
gonna
Do you
pull.
know where my DC 20 folder is for Ivy?
It's green. It was up there. Did it go over here? Maybe.
Yeah. So I have so whenever I do a character, and I don't normally get to play much nowadays, I normally run a lot of things, but this is what I do for if I have somebody playing at my house.
Tell me if
And-
tell me if I'm good. Am I good? Is this good? I want to show the skills.
My agility crit, that's DC 20.
Yeah, but I think this is a more elegant design than that new fifth edition one, and the reason is it does the same thing, putting the skills that are relevant to the ability scores underneath them, like with them, instead of being in a long list that's alphabetical. But then again, DC 20 only has 4 ability scores, so it's easier to fit it all in one column.
Okay, so we have a question as soon as I'm done talking about it. So really quick, whenever we have a player at the house and they are even remotely new player, I do this. I do this for myself so that I don't have to open a book 100 times. And this one here is a DC 21, but I would do the same thing if it was D&D. So this is my character sheet. And then I have all of my.
I can see it, but
Oh, yeah, I guess I'm.
it's too reflective.
It is. And then I have everything that is about my race. If I need to, I'll print off the page from the book so that I have that in here so I can reference it. And then I have this specifically is my maneuvers for this character. I printed everything out. And then I have everything for my class. I printed everything out from the book. And all of my spells that I know. So I have all of those printed off. And then I've printed off all of the actions and reactions that's available for the game that I'm playing, which D&D is very simple. DC 20 is a little bit more complicated, but not by, they're more complicated. All of the reactions you can take, all of the conditions that you can have and what they do. Yeah, so this is 10 to 15 pages, and I am level 3. I'm a little anal about it. I understand that concept, but I do not have to reference a book or ask nearly as many questions while I'm playing this character, because during other people's turns, I can just be looking up the things that I need to look up right here. Okay, so the question that we have, what are your thoughts on the new weapon mastery rules?
I think they are good for the game in general. They do allow marshals to specialize a little bit more.
Yeah.
It makes the weapons in their hands feel like they're just a little bit better with them than like a spellcaster or somebody who doesn't have that martial training. Personally, the character that I built is only using Vex weapons. I'm level 4, so I have 4 weapon masteries. I have picked Rapier as my main for that D8 plus dueling style, so that it's a D8 plus 7 actually, because I have I rolled really well on my stats. Well, on one stat, I ended up with a 17 and a bunch of 3 pretty bad stats in 7, 8, 9, 11, 14, and 17. And then with the ability score increases between taking a feat at level 4, a half feat speedy that gave me a +1 to dexterity, and then 2 +1s from my background. I have a 20 dexterity, so yeah, my attack with that rapier at +7 to hit, and then I deal +7, so it's a D8 plus 7 damage. Am I right on that? I think that's right. Yeah. But Vex is really good for me as a champion fighter because I want to roll with advantage as much as I can because I crit on a 19 or 20. So Vex says that if I hit a creature with an attack, I have advantage on my next attack against them before the end of my next turn. So what that allows me to do is attack. Sorry. I can attack if I hit. I'll have advantage on my next attack, which will probably hit because I'll have advantage, and maybe even crit, being a champion. I also have the lucky feat. So my background is soldier. So from that I got savage attacker, which also lets me reroll my damage and take the better on all of my attacks. And lucky lets me proficiency bonus times per day, which right now is 2. Give myself advantage or impose disadvantage on a roll against me. So between human also gets that extra heroic inspiration, the lucky points. I feel like I'm going to be crit fishing quite a bit and hopefully landing those sweet crits. But that's the rapier. I wanted a reach weapon, and the whip has Vex in only one hand, so I went with that. I needed an actual ranged weapon, so I went with a short bow. And I went with the short bow over the long bow because of Vex. Again, like I just think gaining advantage on the next attack is going to be really solid for a champion fighter. And then I went with a pistol. I couldn't pass up the fact that firearms are in the book. So So, and then later on, I know it's like kind of off topic, but it goes along with my thought process on the Vex property. The champion fighter at level 10. During combat, you can give yourself heroic inspiration whenever you start your turn without it. So, pretty much every turn, I should be able to either have advantage or re-roll an attack, which I think it's going to be amazing. But let me find the weapon mastery so that I can actually refer to the other ones. I think cleave is bad for the game. Uh, I think, it is good being able to make a second attack on somebody within the reach of the weapon, but uh, you can end up in the situation where you have somebody making, like, I think up to 21 attacks. I mean, if you were, allowing an Echo Knight fighter and they took the attack action, made 4 attacks, cleaved on all of those attacks, and then Unleash Incarnation to make another attack and cleave on that attack, and then you Action Surge, attack 4 more times, cleave on those, and then Unleash Incarnation a second time, cleave on that, and then say you have Polar Master from the old book, and then I think you get into mostly from like weird situations with using the old book, the old material, but actually I have the weapon masteries here now. But even without that, without an Echo Knight fighter, any 20th level fighter can make 8 attacks in a turn. And if you're cleaving on them all, that's 16 attacks. That's a lot of dice rolls to sit through. So cleave, graze is okay, I think. Giving you the ability to at least deal some damage, even if you miss. It's not too bad. Nick, I like the idea of being able to use the dual wielding without using up your bonus action. So I think that's pretty cool. Push, being able to push somebody, and actually, I mean, that's a pretty far push too, 10 feet. That's pretty good. Sap, giving them disadvantage on their next attack roll before the start of your next turn. It depends. I mean, when you're fighting things with multi-attacks, giving one disadvantage, I think is not going to be as good as Vex, where you're getting advantage yourself. Slow, if you hit a creature with a weapon, slowing them down, I think it depends. Again, like, let me look at a longbow. Has slow. So, like, if you're using a longbow and shooting somebody at like 150 feet, slowing them down so that it takes them longer to reach you is good. But I think slow on a melee weapon is probably not very useful because they don't really have to go very far to get to you. It could protect your allies in the sense that maybe they can't get to them. So I suppose there's that. Topple is the one that a lot of people tout because, knocking people prone is strong. However, it is a Constitution saving throw, and prone while strong in the sense that like all attacks against them have have advantage, and then their attacks have disadvantage because they're prone. It really depends on the initiative order because like if you topple somebody and that was your last attack or your only attack for the turn and they go next, then they just stand on their turn and you really didn't do anything. I mean, I guess you took up half of their movement, but you don't get to opportunity attack in 5th edition if somebody stands from prone. So you know, it really, I think it depends more on the initiative order, because if you knock them, if they just had their turn and you knock them prone and everybody else can like move in and attack with advantage, that's great. The other thing with topple is if you knock them prone, your ranged characters are going to have disadvantage on their attacks because the enemy's prone. Uh, and I love advantage. So Vex just automatically called to me. I already could only have one good stat, which I decided was going to be dexterity, and that automatically led me to the rapier as my primary choice. If you want to know my opinion on the weapon masteries versus the comparable systems in other games, I did a video actually comparing the axe, which would be cleave versus, I believe it's the, I forget what it's called in Pathfinder, but you usually get it at like a critical specialization for like, say, an axe. Is going to be like a cleave type ability, but the nice thing with the Pathfinder version is that you make one attack roll, and if it hits, you compare. Oh, if it crits, you compare that attack roll against another target within the reach of the weapon. But it doesn't crit that other target. I mean, odds are if it crit one, it's probably going to hit another. But the fact that it's one die roll, I think, is better for the game. And DC 20 actually has a maneuver where you can spend an extra action because you have 4 actions, and you can I forget what it's called, sweep attack. So that's kind of like cleave, but then it's something that anybody can do with any weapon. And you compare your attack roll against 2 targets' defenses. So again, it's one attack roll compared against multiple targets instead of making, you know, up to like say 16 in the extreme end, 21 attack rolls in one turn. So for the speed and the health of the game, I think making one attack roll is better. This version of cleave, I wish that it was. You made one attack roll and compared it. I know also not a topic of this video per se, but just to go to DC 20 again, they have a custom weapon system where you can kind of build your own custom weapon using like a point buy system. But you can give the weapon whatever style you want. So I kind of wish that there was more flexibility in what properties the weapons had, and or that you could like maybe the weapons had multiple property options and you could choose to invoke uh like different properties depending on the situation. And I know that the fighters do get that eventually as like a fighter specific thing. So I don't know, maybe in the design space of 5th edition it would go against the core design philosophy to allow more flexibility in what weapon mastery properties the weapons have. But I do wish that there was more flexibility there. And the only negative that I could see is maybe it steps on the fighter's toes, who does get to automatically invoke a couple extras in addition to whatever the weapon normally has. So that was a very long explanation, but I hope that I covered everything that you were looking for.
I also just put it up in the comment section for that video.
Okay, cool. So I did jump like way ahead, but I also don't know how long you want the video to be. So
It doesn't matter. I do like that they spell out what are standard languages and what are rare languages and where the rare languages come from. Such as like Abyssal, they talk about it coming from the demons of the abyss, or Celestial from Celestials, Deep Speech from Aberrations. They do, they kind of spell that out. The one thing that they didn't do this time that they did in the original player handbook was they didn't give you like runes for the different languages for the alphabet and stuff like that. Which, man, I never used. I would grab tribal runes and use things like that because I could do a Google Translate.
You liked this, I remember. I think it was a standard array
Yeah.
by class.
Standard array by class is kind of nice because if you you don't for your first character and or for NPCs, and you don't want to go through rolling dice and you just want to make like a 2-minute character, you can easily just grab a standard array by class. They just give you numbers such as a barbarian has a 15 strength, a 14 con, a 13 dex, a 12 wisdom, a 10 intelligence, and an 8 charisma.
Yeah, I'm not using the basic standard array, but it's telling you where to put those stats.
Yeah.
Here's that blurb about the backgrounds and the species.
Yeah. Backgrounds in older D&D books don't include ability score adjustments. If you're using a background from an older book, adjust your ability scores by increasing one score by 2 and 1 by 1. Can go over 20.
Yeah, see, and again, I just wish that when it came to the classes that they gave you better guidance, especially for like clerics, wizards, the classes that didn't get their subclasses at third level. I think that the general thought is that you just put those subclass features online at level 3 instead of at level 1 when you would get them. But I just wish that that guidance was in here.
That's fair. I am in our campaign. I've been doing. You're either running a 2014 character or a 2024 character, and you kind of have to choose right now until we get in the weeds and really play the characters to look at the balance of it.
Yeah, I think my current thoughts for games that I run would be you could choose either chassis. If you choose 2014, then you have to play the 2014 subclasses, like everything that's been out already. If you choose a 2024 chassis, you can choose the old subclasses unless they are reprinted using the new rules. So if you go with a 2024 chassis and you play a paladin, you have to, and you want to play a devotion paladin, you have to play the new devotion paladin. Likewise, if you play the 2014 paladin, you have to play the 2014 devotion paladin. You can't like take that 2014 chassis, which some would argue is better for the paladin, and then use the new subclasses with that chassis. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are we still live? I think
we're
so.
still live.
Yeah,
Bear decided to jump on the keyboard.
Tackle the keyboard, yeah.
That's okay. I don't need to be on camera tonight, apparently. The one thing that I do like is starting equipment at higher levels. This is a really nice graph. From 2 to 4, normal starting equipment, and you get a common item, common magic item. 5 to 10, you get 500 gold, plus 1d10, 20 times 25 gold, plus normal starting equipment. Plus you get a common and an uncommon item 11 to 16, you get 5,000 gold, plus 1d10 times 250 gold, plus normal starting equipment. And magic items is 2 common, 3 uncommon, and 1 rare. And then 17 to 20, you get 20,000 gold plus 1d10 times 250 gold plus normal starting. And you get 2 common, 4 uncommon, 3 rare, and 1 very rare. I like that it's a little bit spelled out. And obviously you can change it to your own setting, but for newer DMs, I feel like that's really nice. Even just for, well, when do I award stuff? When do I, put stuff in dungeons? I think this kind of spells out a really nice time frame of getting things.
I feel like, say, even in Lost Mines of Phandelver, though, like, you get some uncommon magic items before level 5.
That's fair.
Like, I mean, most people in my time running Lost Mines do not kill Glassstaff. He usually escapes, so you don't get his Staff of Power, or his Staff of Defense, rather. But there,
Spoilers.
yeah, there is a +1 sword that you get at level 2 if you find it, and there is a +1 battle axe in chapter 3. So, like, at levels 2 and 3, you're finding uncommon magic items.
Right, and that's fine. But I feel like by 5, you definitely have an uncommon magic item.
Yeah, yeah. So I suppose if you were going to start somebody like between levels 2 and 4, and you wanted them to find an uncommon magic item soon, you could not give them one.
Right.
But I think giving them one, especially at level 4, is probably fine.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I like that they have something in here for, because I just see a lot of online things of like, when do I give stuff? I gave a legendary item to a level 3 person because, they wanted it, so here it is, which I've definitely done before. Don't get me wrong. In my Magellan campaign, I gave out 100,000 gold worth of scrolls and magic items, and right at the beginning, to let them do with as they pleased.
Oh, and the one time that I played in there, I did what I pleased. I sold one of those 9th level spell scrolls.
You did.
And resurrected our patron, and hired an army to rescue one of the player characters who decided to allow themselves to be captured.
Yeah.
And bought the whole party custom cloaks of protection with our logo on them.
Yes. They go into multi-classing. I don't think there's anything different in multi-classing. Oh, I actually randomly wanted to look at this.
Oh, the trinket list, and see if it's the same.
I think it's the same. Which, if they kept the trinket list the same, 100 trinkets is not hard to come up with some new trinkets.
I mean, it would be cool if it's different, because you could roll on either table.
Yeah. Because I do like my trinkets.
On the other hand, you could probably Google D100 trinket list and
do
get a trinket list
on a very regular basis.
It's like I was running Shattered Obelisk this week and for like the last 2 weeks, and there's like a haunt.
It's the same.
There's a haunt in like 6 or 7 rooms in the dungeon, and they only give you 5 haunts. So I looked for a D100 table and started rolling on that to get like different effects that could happen. So, it's the same, you said?
It is the same. Yeah, it's sort of disappointing.
Character class is the same, minus the artificer. Again, amazing class art on the first page of every class. A very easy to read table that tells you everything that you get, what your prime ability is. Um, Gives you guidance as to what a multi-class character gets at when they first take the class. Um, Nothing new there. I won't. This isn't the video to talk about multi-classing and
No.
like my thoughts, so we'll just continue on.
No, and I honestly I don't even think it's the place to talk about subclasses and things like that. I think that should be
Okay,
a different video.
and maybe even the class features in general. I um, I guess like quick, I would say I think they improved the barbarian, especially allowing them to rage more often and for up to 10 minutes per rage. And extend it for a bonus action because we actually started doing it ourselves earlier on because you get barbarians doing silly things that they needed to take damage to maintain their rage, where they would like hurt themselves for a point of damage. So that bonus action maintain the rage is good. Uh, I think maybe bards can get their bardic inspiration back once per day.
And can't bards do it as a reaction now?
Yes.
Which is wonderful, honestly.
It's still when you finish a long rest, though, unless you get to Font of Inspiration at level 5. Um, I do like that they added the class spell list to the class. So
Yes.
it is after all of the class features. If it's a spellcaster, you get the entire spell list
Right.
for that class, and then the subclasses. And just to show the artwork, you know, the every subclass is what would you call that? Not keyed up, but it's
It has a different picture.
it's squared off with artwork for each subclass.
Right.
I didn't read all of the classes, to be honest.
I only read the ones that I'm about to have in a campaign. But
Yeah.
again, you know, this is for a different video.
I looked into Druid more because I was currently playing a Circle of Stars Plasmoid Druid. But and then I looked a lot into Fighter because that's what I am playing, and I think they have many improvements to the Fighter. Extra uses for second wind beyond just healing yourself, more uses per day. The ability to move when you use second wind at level 5. Monk, they did massive improvements to the monk. Some of the monk subclasses, massive improvements. Paladin, you know, the big thing with the Paladin is some people are upset that the Paladin lost their ability to smite on every attack, and instead it's now a spell that they have to cast as a bonus action. So they they can only smite on their turn, and they can only smite once per turn. Honestly, I don't like it, but I would have to play with it to see.
As a DM, I like it. And I don't like it for what you think I'm going to say. I have seen so many times where a paladin just takes out an enemy and nobody else even gets a chance to do anything because because they smite 2 or 3 times on a turn and then it's dead and everyone else is like, good job.
Yeah, like 150 damage.
Yeah, so then you have to beef up everything to kind of combat your paladin.
Okay.
And if they can only smite once per turn, then things are going to stick around for more than one round.
So here's what I wish that they did. I wish, and I know we don't want to get too hung up on the classes. I wish that it didn't take a bonus action, and it was just when you hit with an attack once per turn, you can smite. That would allow you to still have your bonus action on your turn, and it would allow you to smite on an opportunity attack, which I think is fine. But
Okay.
you can't even smite on an opportunity attack anymore because
It's not your turn.
you need a bonus action. It would be like rogues sneak attacking because rogues can only sneak attack once per turn, but off turn they can sneak attack during an opportunity attack. Ranger. The main thing that I've seen with the Ranger is that a lot of stuff is tied to Hunter's Mark, which is kind of fine because I mean that's their jam is Hunter's Mark. I I really like the new Rogue myself. I think people have said that it's the worst of the classes in this book, but I like having choices in combat, and I feel like the new Rogue gives you that like interesting gameplay where you can give up your some of your sneak attack dice to um, add conditions or other things to your attacks. And I really find it boring when a character is I do the same thing every time, and I know like human champion fighter. I'm going to be attack, 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 trying to get as much advantage as I can. But I feel like with the champion, when they crit, they can move up to half their speed without provoking opportunity attacks. And critting on a 19 and a 20 plus second wind at level 5. So the next level, I'll be able to move up to half my speed when I use that. I think it'll be interesting gameplay plus switching between weapons and things. But I really do like this with the rogue. Sorcerer. Well, you know, another thing that they changed is the way that the classes are all now kind of prepared casters, in that they always have access to all the spells in their list, except I think the wizard still uses a spell book, so they can only access the spells that are in their spell book. But then the thing that changed is how often they can swap out a spell. So, like bards, sorcerers, I think warlocks can only swap them out when they level up. One
Correct.
spell when they level up. There's a couple that can swap out every day.
Yes.
Definitely druids, clerics, wizards, and I feel like I have something messed up here. Paladins and rangers, I think, are when they level up, and maybe sorcerers, bards, and warlocks are more often. It's in here later, I think. It's in the spellcasting section, I think.
No, it's under each individual one
Is
because
it there too? Because I
Yeah.
think there's a table though in the
Oh,
spellcasting
okay.
section.
Yeah, because we were looking at sorcerers for one of the players. Innate sorcery.
Yeah, we have 9 people watching. If anybody's not subscribed, we're at 248 subscribers.
249.
249, awesome.
One more. Come on, guys. Get us to 250 tonight.
And then we can play DC20 live for you again.
Yeah. We've been waiting. Font of magic. You tap into the wellspring of magic within yourself. The wellspring is represented by sorcery points. Nope, that's not correct.
Yeah, no.
Sorcerer's spells. Okay, here it goes. Feature gives you spells, blah, blah, blah. Changing your prepared spells. Whenever you gain a sorcerer level, you can replace one spell on your list with another sorcerer spell for which you have spell slots.
Okay, so it is there too, but
Yeah.
so we got a sorcerer and then warlock. I kind of like that they get their invocations at level one, and then like one of them lets you pick up extra origin feats. So like sorcerer warlocks. I mean, a human warlock could have the most origin feats out of anybody, I think, because you get one from your background, you get one from human, and then if you picked up two invocations that were like the origin feats, you could have four origin feats, I think, at level one, unless you can only take that invocation once. But even then, it's three origin feats, so pretty cool. Um, and wizard, which I think the wizard changes are good in general. But without going too far into that, so character origins. So this is going to be backgrounds and backgrounds and species. So one of the things that I did not like with these backgrounds is that they don't give you bonds, flaws, and ideals anymore. And I have a hard time sometimes coming up with those. I feel like for my new character, Lucius, I'm not going to have that problem
Mhm.
because Ali is an amazing DM and has us going decade by decade building out our backstories. So, like, I know my character's motivations and things.
Mhm.
So I think that's fine.
We have a couple of players in that game that have a hard time getting into the heads of their characters. And a long time ago now, I saw where a DM started off, depending on, elves, they might go like a 50-year stint, and then they would go down to like a 20-year stint or a 10-year stint, and then you go down to a 5-year stint, and then down to year by year to kind of get up to the current time frame. And um, it has allowed me to build out a new city that wasn't in my world that they wanted to be from. And because I asked the players questions about the people they met, the friends they had, what it was like in the city, the experiences they had, things like that, so that I could really kind of flush out the world more for them. Because I like my players having a little say in what's going on.
So I know that Jeremy Crawford said about character backgrounds and that you could create custom backgrounds. And I mean, truthfully, with all the homebrewing that we've done, like having people craft their own backgrounds would
Mhm.
not be very difficult,
No.
or us creating a background for somebody. Um, but somebody said that it was spelled out in here, like how to do it. And I honestly don't. I don't think it is. So, under character backgrounds, it says your character's background is a collection of characteristics that represent the place and occupation that were most formative before your character embarked on a life of adventure. Each background includes a brief narrative of what the character's past might have been like, although alter the details of this narrative however you like. And
Right. But I think what they're specifically talking about is parts of a background. Um, the ability scores, what you think that that background should have given you. Skill proficiencies, again, what you think that background should have given you. Tool proficiencies and equipment.
well, that's if you wanted to craft your own, right? But
Right.
it doesn't tell you that you can.
Oh, fair, fair,
And
fair. Okay, yep.
and
Mhm.
when you look at this, like Charlatan, for example, the ability
Mhm.
scores are dexterity, constitution, charisma.
Mhm.
The feat is skilled. The skill proficiencies are deception and sleight of hand. The tool proficiency is forgery kit. Equipment is I don't need to go into that. And then there is like a narrative.
Mhm.
I feel like when they mention narrative, right?
Yeah.
Alter the details of this narrative however you like,
Mhm.
is that you're altering the story of your background, which, for example, for Charlatan, once you were old enough to order an ale, you soon had a favorable stool in every tavern within 10 miles of where you were born. And it just goes on like about the narrative of being a charlatan. So I don't see anything that says that you can either alter the ability scores, the feats, the skill proficiencies, tool proficiencies, or equipment. Um, although I know as a DM that you absolutely could, and you
Right.
could build your own.
Right.
So there's that. I wish that there was a little bit more guidance on changing this.
Mm,
Maybe that'll be in the DMG,
that's fair.
but um, yeah. The other thing that I would say with the backgrounds is I like the concept of like okay, so like going back to the old fifth edition when it first came out, and the races had the bonuses, and like if you were an elf, it was going to be dexterity, and then it was going to be another ability score depending on what subrace you picked, and like that's what an elf was, and like a half elf got a bonus to charisma and then 2+1s where they wanted, and then when they changed it so that you could put those bonuses wherever, I kind of didn't like that because I felt like you were mitigating what it like physically what it meant to be an elf or a dwarf or
Hmm.
whatever. But over time, I've come to be fine. Like it doesn't really bother me anymore. Um,
And I like that I truly like that they took it away from put it in whatever you want to adding it to backgrounds.
yeah. So getting to that point, I think it depends. If you are somebody who builds a character based on a concept and you're going to build for that concept and it's
Mhm.
not like a mid-max munchkin, then I think that having that tied to the backgrounds informs the decisions that you make on where to put your bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a mid-max munchkin, you're going to look for the
A
best.
min max munchkin. Is that a thing?
I mean, I don't know. I like it. I'm going to start using it, keep
Okay.
using it. I mean,
All
I've
right.
been using it now. But I think like you're gonna look for the best background that's gonna give you the boosts and the stats that you want and gives you the best feat. You're gonna weigh those options and narratively it doesn't matter what the background is, you're going for those stats and that feat. So that might help you build a character out of that.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, it's kind of what I ended up with my human champion fighter. I picked soldier because I wanted savage attacker and I wanted those ability score increases. Um, and then when I built out the character, I knew that he was going to be a soldier. So, that's possible that you can go that route. But I think, um, what I would have liked to have seen is those ability score increases be a suggestion.
Okay. I
If
mean,
you
they
are
sort of
this
are.
the then this is a suggestion as to where you should put them.
Okay. And I mean, so it's up to two in one and one in another.
Yeah.
So like for sailor, you could put two into strength and one into dexterity and nothing into wisdom.
Hmm. But I forget. I was going to do something different with my stats, and I ended up feeling like stuck putting +2 into dexterity and bumping it to 19, and then putting a +1 into strength with my 9 in strength to give myself a 10 strength, which was fine because then I only needed a +1, and speedy was a good half feat, so I took that. Um, we haven't really gotten to feats yet, but speedy gives you a +10 move speed. It gives you the ability, if you take the dash action on your turn, to ignore difficult terrain. So you don't even have to move first, just take dash, and then when you move through the difficult terrain, you can move up to, for me, 80 feet. And then opportunity attacks against me are made at disadvantage.
Sorry.
I was going to say that I think that in a lot of ways they rebalanced the races now species. But I think that some of them are still pushed. Azamir, for one, I think is pushed, is stronger than the others, but a lot of them feel more balanced against each others. And even like, say, Variant Human used to be, before Tasha's Custom Lineage, it was like the go-to because, a free feat is really valuable. The fact that everybody gets an origin feat now is kind of makes that less important, maybe. Um, we have
We have 251 subscribers.
nice. We're playing DC 20.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank
Truly.
you. So,
Sorry,
I
I
still
totally
though
derailed you.
I still though really like the fact of getting to pick any origin feat plus the one that you get from your background. So I still think that from human is good. Plus gaining that heroic inspiration whenever you finish a long rest, that you are guaranteed to like have heroic inspiration and get it back. But like when you look at the Azimir, they have uh, let's see. Resistance to necrotic and radiant damage, dark vision, the ability to heal. Actually, touch. How many times proficiency bonus? When you use this, you need to finish. Okay, so it's a once per day heal, but still. And then I think it's also once per day. They can like grow wings and fly, and like a whole bunch of other like possible options. So, in comparison to getting a free feat, free origin feat, mind you, it's not like any feat. I don't know. I still like it. I like it, but I think the Azimir is pushed.
I do like that the feats are kind of broken out amongst general and origin and epic boons and fighting styles.
Oh, I love that too. You mentioned the fighting styles are now feats, which means that like the champion fighter at level 7, I think, automatically gets another. Uh, they get another fighting style. But any fighter can use their ability score increases to get extra fighting styles, and I think that is
Now,
really
can
good.
anyone pick up a fighting style
I think you
as a
have.
feat?
I think you have to have the fighting style. Like you have to have gotten fighting style prior. Um,
To take a feat, you must meet any prerequisite in its description.
yeah, you'd have
All
to
right, so
look at
let's
the.
look at archery. Only because what I've done with previous games
Uh,
is
the
I've said that
fighting styles are at the end.
okay, like you guys have now been traveling for 2 years, and I may ask like, and as I kind of look at each character and I kind of say, okay, you always do this. I let people kind of choose one thing that maybe they were like practicing with another person on the road, or they've watched somebody else do so many times. Yeah, so fighting style feat prerequisite is a fighting style feature. Okay.
Yeah, so if you've taken a class that gives you a fighting style and you've actually picked up one fighting style, you can spend your future feats to get more fighting styles, which is cool.
Yeah, and I've always just kind of done that in like private boons in my games where like you guys have been traveling for so long that you learned how to do one thing that someone else in your party does on a regular basis. And it's typically not like something super overpowered, but it's like, okay, at night while the fighter was practicing, you were kind of helping them and you've learned martial weapons. Is the wizard ever going to use a martial weapon? No. Oh, go
Like
ahead.
like I hate to look ahead, like plan out my character levels into advance because I don't know, I like to kind of find the character organically. And while I don't plan to multi-class this character, like if something made me so angry that I couldn't contain my rage, I might take a barbarian level. if I'm out in nature and like I feel like I've learned ranger stuff, maybe I would pick up a level of ranger. But just looking ahead, like I know I would want to pick up the archery fighting style
Mhm.
so that I'm as good with the bow as I am with the rapier, and then also the pistol. And then so maybe at level 6 I'd pick that up, and then at level 7 when I get another fighting style from being a champion, pick up defense.
Okay.
But I'm just kind of thinking. Um,
I do like that they have epic boons in the player's guide and
mhm.
not just in the DMG.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
They still have Electrum as money. What are your
Electrum.
thoughts?
Trade it in for gold.
Silver or copper or anything else. I typically do I give you guys Electrum when you guys are in like really old crypts or like
Mm.
old stuff. And like, I make a big deal about you turning it in and whatnot. I know we've already talked about weapons. This is as a person that knows zero about weapons, that is nice. Because I have Googled on more than one occasion what a weapon looks like. Same with armor. It's wonderful. Love it. I also like that in the chart for armor.
Thank you, Jim.
Oh, thank you. I love that in the thing, what is this called? The chart about armor. It tells you how long it takes to don and doff armor.
Did they say the shield? Because now I think it's an action.
Nope.
I think it's an action.
Is it? Okay. Shield. You gain the armor class. Nope.
I think in the old book it was an action also.
I mean, it should be, because you don't just pick up a shield. You actually have to like stick your arm through the hole and like get it situated, and that's gonna take 6 seconds. So that makes it. I get it because I do a bonus action for drinking a potion, and that would also take 6 seconds. So hypocrite. I fully understand.
Now, this is another area where I do wish that they had made a change to 5th edition. And it's one of the things that I love with DC 20 is that you can dual wield with a shield. You can attack with whatever your main weapon is, and then bash with your shield. And there is a feat, Shield Master, that lets you shove with your shield when you take the attack action. But I wish that you could attack with your shield.
Okay, and that's interesting because I would call it an improvised weapon
Okay.
if you weren't proficient with it.
And I was thinking like, how would it work in 5th edition? Because the key of making that shield attack in DC 20 is that you have a multiple check penalty, where if you do the same action multiple times, you gain stacking disadvantage. So if you were to attack and attack again with the same weapon, it would be a normal attack and then disadvantage. So if you were dual wielding, it would be a normal attack, a normal attack. But for 5th edition, they do have dual wielding rules where it's a bonus action to attack with the thing that you're holding in your other hand. Now, 5th edition does make it where you have to attack with 2 light weapons. You have to. Honestly, I'm not sure 100% what if there's a change to the dual wielding rules in here, other than the Nick property, but. The original 5th edition rules, which I have meticulously memorized, is that if you make
so true.
if you make an attack with a light weapon that you're holding in one hand, you can use a bonus action to make an attack with a light weapon that you're holding in another hand.
Mhm.
That presumes that you are holding 2 light weapons. and you can attack with the attack action. If you have extra attack, attack again, maybe again if you're a fighter, and then make your bonus action attack. Um, but I almost feel like, first of all, anybody should be able to use a bonus action to make an unarmed strike. Although that's kind of like maybe pooing on the monk, but the monk makes really good unarmed strikes, and it may not be worthwhile for a normal person to make an unarmed strike at 1 damage plus strength modifier. So, um, you know, or that you could, if you were holding two weapons, um, make an attack and an attack. They didn't have to be light. I don't know if it breaks the game.
I don't know.
Um,
You're the numbers guy.
You already don't add your ability score modifier to the offhand unless you have the dual weapon fighting style. Um, I don't know. I think it would. I think it would lead to more interesting gameplay. And I mean, it's one thing that I love with Pathfinder Second Edition. Also, is that like your shield is not just a static number on your sheet. You have to use an action, one of your three, to raise your shield to engage it to gain the bonus to your armor class. You can actively attack with your shield, um, and I do like that. I do like that.
I really like tools.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they spell out what is in like an alchemist supply kit. Acid, alchemist fire, component pouch, oil, paper, perfume. What is it good for? Identifying a substance, starting a fire. How much does it weigh? How much does it cost? And what ability you use to do it.
Yeah, and also what you can craft with it.
Yeah.
Oh, those are the things that you can craft.
Yeah, those are the things.
Yeah, the tool section in this book is amazing.
Love it.
I mean, they had something like this in I think Xanathar's guide, but like having it all in the player's handbook, and I feel like this is spelled out better than Xanathar's, but we could take a look at that because we do have Xanathar here somewhere. Oh my God! Another player's handbook? No, that's Castle of Crusade.
I was gonna say no. We only have three.
Cautious. So maybe Xanathar's is behind us. Monster Manual, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. I think this has, Herbalism Kit. Actually, this is spelled out really good too. Almost more so, but this isn't as good of a presentation as this.
Yeah, no, I really like this one. This makes me happy.
This is too much information, I think. This is nice because it's all like one page pretty much.
Yeah.
This is like pages and pages, and it's really hard to read in comparison to the new book.
Yeah. No, this makes me happy. Standard adventuring gear. I've always loved this page. I have loved this page for putting things on NPCs or like for when people are looting things. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants like gold and stuff, but nobody thinks of like, you find 3 rations and a bottle of perfume.
Yeah. Bottle of perfume with a love note.
Yes. But again, they kind of spell out what they do. Like the ball bearings, DC 10 dexterity saving throw, or have prone condition. It takes 10 minutes to recover the ball bearings.
Yeah, in comparison to the old player's handbook, I feel like they go into a lot more depth on the items.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, there are descriptions, but this is hard to read. Mm-hmm. That's nicely blocked out where you can see.
Yep, a lot of these tables are kind of generically the same and whatnot. They have spellcasting services in here. Um, crafting equipment, which I think was also in Tasha's, they have in here.
You know, somebody actually said that the crafting system was like almost non-existent. So what does it say? You know, to craft non-magical items, you need tools. To make an item, you need raw materials worth half its purchase cost. For example, you need 750 gold of raw materials to make plate armor, which sells for 1,500. The DM determines whether the appropriate raw materials are available. Time. Working 8 hours a day, it takes to make an item. Divide its purchase cost in gold by 10. Um, for example, you need 5 days to make a heavy crossbow, which sells for 50 gold. Okay, so it would take 75 days to craft the plate armor, and that's working 8 hours a day. But I assume you could pull a double and work 16 hours on it and cut that time in half.
Normally only one character can assist you, but the DM might allow additional. Um, they used to be very specific that you had to work for 8 hours a day, and that if you worked like longer, you would like start to get exhausted.
Yeah, I mean, people don't like working 16 hours a day, but like, I mean, people do it. I feel like so 75 days, that's at 8 hours a day. And if you had two people working, you would cut that in half. Half of 75 would be 37. Just 37 days. And then if you were both working 16 hours a day, and you cut that in half, that would be what, 17 days? Less than 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you really needed to bang something out, uh, yeah, I have to say, like the crafting rules in D&D are much simpler than the Pathfinder crafting rules, and well, I kind of think that like a check can be good um, to speed it up. Um, this doesn't seem unreasonable, I don't think. Okay, spells. So yeah, see here, there's this table tells you
Oh,
everything.
okay, that's
Mhm.
cool. For bard, cleric, druid, paladin, ranger, sorcerer, warlock, wizard.
Okay, so it's either gaining a level or finishing a long rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Um,
Oh,
casting
ranger
in
and
armor.
paladin are long
You
rest.
must have training with any armor you are wearing to cast spells while wearing it. You are otherwise too hampered by the armor for spellcasting.
Yeah, that's how it was.
Yep. I really don't want to get into the differences in
Spells. Yeah, that's the
the
whole thing.
spells. I mean the
Oh,
one.
but the concentration thing, right? We were gonna look at that. Readying a spell. That's where it is.
Identifying an ongoing spell. You can try to identify a non-instantaneous spell by its observable effects. If its duration is ongoing, to identify it, you must take the study action and succeed on a DC 15 intelligence / arcana check. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not concentration, but casting time. One here's the new rule: one spell with a spell slot per turn.
Which it was always that rule. It's
It was tied to bonus action casting, and now it's not because it wasn't. Because if you action surged, you could cast two spells with spell slots in the same turn, but as long as you didn't cast one as a bonus action. But
right.
now it's straight up. You can only spend one spell slot per turn, and even action surge now doesn't let you. It doesn't let you cast two spells in a turn. Like you, when if the action that you get from action surge cannot be the magic action, which is what you use to cast a spell. Let me see if I have a comment here. I think I want to play in one of Allie's RP games, like Gary's to the no favorites. Yeah,
Wasn't he the one who did the whole Allie versus Gary thing? I made the whole
oh,
picture.
I don't know. That's Storble, I think.
Yeah.
But we actually she has it's play by post currently, but she has been start playing the Magellan campaign, so it is there. And I am like this is my third or technically fourth time playing through, like the one that she's we were talking about. But I'm so excited to play.
And I don't know. Every time I run a campaign, it's just completely different. After after kind of talking with players and learning their backstories, and I don't know. Every time is different for whatever campaign I run. I like bringing backstory stuff into stuff. But yeah, come January, I'll probably be putting the Magellan campaign up for like a weekly event. Um, but with the Christmas season coming up quickly, I uh, I can't so much do that.
Where was I wonder if it was you know what I wonder if it was back here with the actions and the magic action. Um, Combat, order of combat, um, magic action, ranged attacks, combat, damage and healing, dropping ground cover, movement, position, um, shoot. Where did it talk about the actions? There was that whole table that it talked about actions. Here, ready,
Oh, yeah.
bonus action, one action at a time. That's it though. It doesn't magic cast a spell, use a magic item. Ability checks. You know, I wonder if it's here under casting time. Longer cast certain spells. Well, you cast a spell that casts in time of 1 minute or more. You take that on each of your turns. Most spells require a magic action, but some spells require a bonus action. I don't know. I might have to look this up for another time, but duration, time span, Fred's time span, 1 minute.
Maybe it's under the glossary under readying an action. Because there's a glossary now. Love it.
Explains. Those are like casting without spells, but that's not going to be it.
When we finally are able to start playing in person again, I will absolutely see us getting 2 of these books.
Yeah, I don't know, because
I would say, hold on, there's the glossary.
Because then this is all the spells until you get to. Oh, you know what? It might be under the ready action.
That's what you just said before. Rules glossary.
Sorry, guys. We got 10 people watching me.
Ready, exit. Ready, exit. Oh, first you decide.
When you ready a spell.
There you go. See?
When you ready a spell, you cast it as normal, spending any resources used to cast it, but hold its energy, which you release with your reaction when the trigger occurs. To be ready to spell must have a casting time of an action, and holding on to the spell's magic requires concentration, which you can maintain up to the start of your next turn. If your concentration is broken, the spell dissipates without taking effect. So, as this is worded, you can maintain that concentration until the start of your next turn, which would say that if you ready a spell and you don't cast it before the start of your next turn, you lose it.
Yep. And you've already spent the mana on it.
Spell slot. But
Spell slot, sorry.
mana's better. Sorry, but it is.
I call it mana in game. I don't call it spell slots when I have NPCs talking about spells.
Yeah, TC20 and mana is better. But.
Yeah, I've always, I don't know if I've always called it mana, but I've never called it spell slots in game. Energy, I've called it magical energy before.
The new stat blocks are snappy for the monsters.
Yeah. It gives you mods and saving throws. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, they're fine. I don't know that, like, it's just a refresh.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, I really like this rules glossary. I also like the abbreviation terms like NG for neutral good and NPC for non-player character. PB for proficiency bonus, which I can never remember. For some reason, I have a stupid mental block against it.
Which one? I'm sorry.
PB for proficiency bonus.
Oh, yeah.
I'm playing a wildfire spirit druid, not ranger.
Yeah.
He's totally a ranger. But it's always plus PB, and I'm just like,
not peanut butter.
Yeah, no. I always think it's my wisdom modifier, but like that is not what it is.
Yeah.
The glossary is just so nice.
I agree, because it really, like, it's not just a list of stuff. It actually gives you the information that you're looking for.
Yeah, like improvised weapons. It gives you proficiency and damage and range and weapon equivalents, and it don't know, it breaks stuff down really nicely for you. Which, I mean, how many times have we had to look up long jump before we finally remembered the rules for it? We've had to, I don't know, just looking that up 100 times a day. Not a day, but you know what I mean. Campaign.
Then an index.
Index. Yeah, somewhere in here it gave the planes of existence. I think it was right before.
Right before the stat block.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking.
So they've done the multiverse, different, and I'll have to get a better picture, but, the images that they give for each of the outer planes, like Mount Celestia and Arcadia and Mechanus, very cool. I love the imagery, even though it's just a tiny little bit of all of the different outer planes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that.
So, final thoughts?
I wanted to hate it. I wanted to hate it hard.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I didn't think I ever wanted to touch this book.
And the reason I wanted to hate it so much is because I don't typically like things that are backwards compatible. I feel like things get overpowered and nobody wants to play with the old stuff because it obviously doesn't compare to the new stuff. And now I have yet to play in a game that contains the 2024, so I can't say that that's not true, but I don't feel like it's true.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's a good revision of the already established 5th edition, which I think part of the reason that they did this instead of making a 6th edition is because they have, like, a whole Baldur's Gate group of people that they can pull over, and there is more life in 5th edition.
Okay.
I
You can go anywhere and find people to play with that know 5e.
yeah.
Whether they have issues with WotC, no issues with WotC, are primarily playing a different game. I'm gonna go bold here, and I'm gonna go with 90% of all people that play role playing games know how to play fifth edition.
Okay.
Whether they're super proficient with it is different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I feel like everyone at least has a general knowledge
Mm-hmm.
of like how to play fifth edition.
Yeah. So, I mean, I still would have rather seen a sixth edition. I feel like the
Okay.
changes that DC 20 made, like I think that went in like in a better direction as far as like what could have been possible with things like stacking advantage and just some other changes that I think lead to a
Mm-hmm.
better. I can't even say better game experience, but like to me, I like it. But if I'm going to play, fifth edition now, I think the revised rules are better. So when we look at the two systems that have had revisions lately, there's Pathfinder Second Edition that went from the core rulebook to like player core, and then what Wizards of the Coast did with the Player's Handbook going to the 2024 Player's Handbook. And my initial thought was that Pathfinder's take was going to be less disruptive than what Wizards of the Coast was attempting to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel that way after reading this rulebook.
Yeah, I agree. Neither do I.
I feel like outside of how you use the artificer with the new rules, and outside of how you use the the old subclasses with the new class chassis,
Mm-hmm.
I think the revision is great. The rules are cleaned up. A lot of things that were house rules are now codified as actual rules.
Mm-hmm.
And like neither one of us have actually played with the 2024 rules
Mm-hmm.
in a game that was like built from the ground up for it.
Right.
But we've adopted a lot of the stuff already anyway.
Yeah.
So like I'm excited to play with it.
Yeah. Same.
Um, on the Pathfinder end, I think they changed a lot of things for the better. Some of it arbitrary and to get away from the OGL, so that
Right.
everything was under the org license, which was good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I almost feel like um, the transition between the old player's handbook and the new one might be less jarring than the changes between the old core rulebook and player core.
Okay.
I know that's more my domain, probably.
It is.
But
I can honestly say that I did not read either of those for Pathfinder.
um,
Sorry, Mike.
uh, although one of the things that I think you would have to see out in the wild is um, what happens at an actual table where people are either mixing and matching from the old book and the new book, or you have somebody with something out of the like a character completely out of the old book and a character completely out of the new book, and they're at the same table. Jeremy
Mm-hmm.
Crawford says it's fine,
Yep.
but like some of the spells are very different. True Strike is
Mm-hmm.
hugely improved in the new Player's Handbook,
Mm-hmm.
but then things are toned down in the new Player's Handbook, like all of the -5 to attack for +10 damage are gone. So, like an old character, 2014 character, using something like Sharpshooter or Great Weapon Master might be more powerful than something out of the 2024 handbook.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing goes for a paladin who is like smiting, you know, for so much damage every turn.
Right.
Um, so uh, my thing is like, do they mesh? And then if the spells have changed, clearly the 2024 like cure wounds are better. But in player core rulebook, the player core, I know one of the things that's very strange for me is they changed the names of a lot of the spells, but then not just the names, but also like what some of the spells do. Some of the spells went from attack rolls to saving throws. Same basic spell, changed the name, and before it was an attack roll, now it's a saving throw spell. I'm thinking of like Acid Splash, and I don't know, Caustic Blast, I think it's called now. Um, Changed like that, and I think it also does cause some confusion, more so than what you get in this player fifth edition revision. Um, because, like, say, in the core rulebook for Pathfinder Second Edition, Magic Missile was Magic Missile, and then in Player Core, it's Force Barrage. Um, so you have two names for the same spell. You could have somebody who built their character with the core rulebook who's using Magic Missile. Somebody, maybe a new GM who's never looked at the core rulebook. And I mean, everybody knows what Magic Missile is, I would think, at this point. But, like, yeah. But, you could have a situation, though, where a spell is named something different. It could even be the exact same spell. Um, and maybe fifth edition benefits from the fact that, like, in this comparison, Paizo had to do a lot to get away from the OGL, and Wizards of the Coast, obviously, as the owners of the OGL, didn't need to worry about that, so they were able to keep the same names for pretty much everything.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that might also make the D&D transition feel smoother as I look at it. I've just
fair.
rambled a whole lot.
So I just want everyone to realize that for 12 hours a day, this is what Gary does. He rambles about gaming non-stop.
Just why we started a YouTube channel, because I could sit here and ramble in front of a camera.
Yes. Well, is there anything else that you would specifically like to ramble about this evening?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything pretty well.
Well, I'm still a cat, but thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. Yeah. And I will quickly drop a link to our Start Playing in chat.
I guess we could stump quick, right? So, I have an opening in the Shattered Obelisk campaign that I was talking about earlier. The characters are currently level 8, I believe. There's one more dungeon and in chapter 6, and then there's 2 more chapters, 7 and 8. So there's still a decent amount of gameplay left. So that's 5th edition. I have one opening in Lost Mines of Phandelver converted to DC 20 on Saturdays. It would be good if I gave you the time frame, right? That Wednesday game is 8 p.m. Eastern time. The Saturday game is 2 p.m. Eastern time. The characters are currently level 3 in Chapter 3 of Lost Mines of Phandelver. So there's still a little bit of Chapter 3 left, and then Chapter 4. But if you want to see what all of my excitement over DC20 is about. It's a good opportunity.
I'm going to stump something completely different.
Okay.
So we have a Patreon now, and I'm also linking that in here. If you guys play with us on a regular basis on Start Playing, you should look into our Patreon. If you play with us every week, and you look at our $25 tier, you'll get $5 off every game that you play with us in Start Playing. So you'll make your money back on it, and you'll get access to a bunch of more stuff. So, like this month, we're doing, I'm testing out Call of Cthulhu the Code to get that onto Start Playing. So, our current patrons are getting to play in that to kind of work out some kinks. But
Yeah, free trial.
yeah, so they get to play through Call of Cthulhu for free. One of them expressed an interest in aliens. So next month, I said that I would run Hadley's Hope for the Aliens RPG for any patrons that are currently joined. Yeah, so if you do play with us regularly, just look at the Patreon. It might be really worth it for you.
That's in addition to the other benefits that we offer at lower tiers, like all the YouTube content without commercials, and also I keep putting our homebrew material up on Patreon at certain tiers, including largely DC20 content, but there's other D&D and other content that will find its way on there.
Yep. So we have a $3 tier that's just buys a cup of coffee. Because if you know anything about me, I need my coffee. We have a D6 Mace tier. It's $10 a month to watch our content without the YouTube ads. And it's a write-up of any homebrew creations. Also, fan requests. What do you think that we should run or talk about? Tell us. D8 Longsword tier, $20 a month. Come hang out once a month, talk to us, and help with running games. Get help with running games, building characters, or anything else TTRPG. And it's the D10 Glaive tier that I was kind of talking about, that you get $5 off any games you play with us on Start Playing. And then obviously you get everything for the previous tiers as well.
It's at the $20 tier where we were doing the monthly hangout, right?
Yeah.
And since we currently only have 2 patrons in the in that tier or higher,
right?
Rather than just hanging out and talking, we've offered a free one-shot each month. If we get more patrons, we'll do that hangout instead, and we'll look at tweaking the patron benefits as we go. And we were also kicking around higher tiers that might give more off of our Start Playing games. So,
yeah. So, if anyone knows us and has kind of followed us before, we make ceramic Christmas trees and we do ornaments for the Christmas season. So, next, our cats are angry. So whenever we post next, I'm going to put up one of the specialty ornaments that we do. It's a D20, and you can have your character's name on it, your name on it, the year on it, the campaign name on it, whatever you want. We ship. We would do a discount if you were interested in getting one for each of your players in the campaign for Christmas. But we are going to post that up on our next video so that you guys can see it.
Oh, you know what I was thinking? We should shout out our patrons. Strato Nexus and Trixie Ray.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your support.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun last night too playing. We were playing The Code by Call of Cthulhu. It was a lot of fun.
Shadow Nexus plays in the Saturday DC 20 Lost Minds, and Trixie Ray plays in the Monday night Problems in Fandolin.
DC 20.
DC 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today, and I hope all of your rolls are crits.
And until next time, keep rolling with us.